I attended my son's wedding as a proud single dad, but my nameplate read a fake uneducated dad. The bride's family laughed until my son said, "Dad, let's go home." The next day, their family faced a shock they never saw coming. The hall was full of light, but I had never felt so exposed in my life. My son stood at the altar in a tailored suit. The bride's family filled the first 3 rows, shining with silk and gold. Cameras flashed, laughter floated like perfume, and on the small white card placed neatly on my reserve seat in bold black ink were the words, "A fake uneducated dad." I read it twice, then a third time. A few guests leaned forward. One of the bride's uncles covered his mouth, pretending to cough. A cousin took a picture of the card with his phone. The bride's mother did not pretend. She laughed. It was not loud, but it was clear, controlled, intentional. My name was not there, just a label. Fake, uneducated, dad. The master of ceremonies cleared his throat awkwardly, unsure if it was part of some joke. My son had not seen it yet. He was smiling at his bride, waiting for music to begin. For 1 second, I thought about sitting down. For 1 second, I thought about swallowing it. Then my son turned. His eyes found mine. He saw the card. The smile left his face. He walked down from the altar, slowly, carefully, as if stepping across glass. The hall became quiet. Even the air seemed to pause. He picked up the card. He read it. And he did not look at the bride. He looked at me. "Dad," he said, calm but shaking beneath the calm. "Let's go home." Gasps spread like ripples in water. The bride whispered his name. Her father stood up halfway, confused. For the first time since he was a boy, afraid of the dark, he reached for my hand. "Let's go home," he repeated. I felt something break inside my chest. Not anger, not humiliation, something older, something that had been waiting. We walked down the aisle together, not as a bride and groom would have, but as a father and son, leaving something behind. Behind us, the bride's family began shouting. Someone said it was a misunderstanding. Someone else said it was just a joke. The bride's father demanded we stop. We did not stop. Outside, the sky was gray. It looked like rain. My son asked me only one question before we entered the car. "Dad, is it true? What they say about you?" I looked at him. "No," I said. He nodded once. "I know." We drove away. Behind us in that bright hall, the laughter had died, but the insult remained on that small white card. They thought they had embarrassed a simple man. They did not know they had awakened something patient. They did not know that the name they mocked was not the name I was born with. And they did not know that by the next morning, the ground beneath their family business would begin to move. But before that morning arrived, before truth came like quiet thunder, you need to understand how a single father became fake, how education was turned into an insult, and why I had stayed silent for so long. Because this was not the first time their family had tried to erase me. It was only the first time my son saw it. Oh, and once he saw it, nothing would ever be the same. What they believed was a harmless joke was the final stone placed on a scale that had been tipping for years. They thought I was nothing. They had no idea what I had been building in the dark. And as we drove into the night, I made one decision. I would not shout. I would not argue. I would not fight. I would correct. But correction, when delayed long enough, feels like fate. The rain began to fall. And somewhere behind us, in that decorated hall, the bride's father picked up his phone to make calls he believed would fix everything. He did not know that the calls he would receive the next morning would change his family's name forever. Years before that wedding, I had already been erased once. My name is Daniel Okoye, but to the bride's family, I was the mechanic. I was the man who fixed engines in a small workshop at the edge of town. Oil on my hands, grease on my clothes, no university degree hanging on a wall. They never asked what I did before the workshop. They never asked why I read contracts slowly but carefully. They never asked why I insisted my son learn not only ambition, but caution. My wife died when our son, Samuel, was 5. Cancer does not care about savings. It empties accounts and hearts at the same time. I sold what we had. I closed the consulting firm I once co-owned. Yes, consulting firm. Years ago, I had studied economics overseas. I had worked in compliance and corporate risk. I understood systems. I understood loopholes. I understood how companies fall. But after my wife's death, I wanted silence. Something honest. Something that did not involve boardrooms or betrayal. So I opened a mechanical workshop. People assume what they see. Grease means ignorance. Manual labor means failure. It was easier to let them believe it. The bride's father, Mr. Adeyemi, met me at a charity dinner hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. He owned Adeyemi Holdings, construction contracts, supply chains, government tenders. A respected name. He shook my hand once. He never looked me in the eye again. When Samuel introduced him as my dad, Mr. Adeyemi smiled politely. "A hard-working man," he said. "That is honorable." It was not praise, it was classification. Later that evening, I overheard him speaking to a colleague. "The boy is bright," he said. "Shame about the background, but we can polish that." Polish, as if I were rust. Samuel fell in love with his daughter, Amara. She was intelligent, kind in private, careful in public. I do not believe she wrote that card, but she did not stop it either. Over the years of their relationship, small things happened. Family dinners where I was seated far from discussions about business, conversations that stopped when I entered the room, assumptions that I would not understand financial language. Once, Mr. Adeyemi joked that Samuel must have inherited his intelligence from his late mother. I smiled. Time is a weapon, but only if you allow it to pass. While they built their image, I built something else. I began quietly reviewing public records, tender allocations, government filings, corporate structures. Old habits return easily. Adeyemi Holdings was growing fast. Too fast. Their subsidiaries overlapped strangely. Contracts awarded repeatedly through shell partners. Environmental compliance documents signed but never fulfilled. Nothing illegal at first glance, but patterns reveal intention. I did not act. I waited. Samuel graduated top of his class in engineering. He was offered a position within Adeyemi Holdings. It was presented as generosity. It was control. I warned him gently. "Learn," I said, "but do not trust easily." He thought I feared losing him. In truth, I feared what proximity would expose. 2 years passed. Samuel rose quickly in the company. He saw things, questioned things. His future father-in-law praised him publicly, but restricted his access privately. And then came the wedding. The insult on the card was not about education. It was about erasure. They wanted the guests to see a contrast, their polished dynasty beside a man labeled unworthy. They underestimated 2 things: my son's loyalty and my memory. That night after we left the wedding, I opened a locked drawer in my study. Inside were printed documents, copies, timelines, signatures, offshore registrations linked quietly back to Adeyemi Holdings. I had spent 3 years documenting, not to destroy, to correct. By midnight, I made 3 anonymous submissions, one to the Federal Compliance Commission, one to the Environmental Regulatory Agency, one to a journalist who owed me a favor from a decade ago. I included only facts, no accusations. Facts do not shout, they sit. The next morning at 9:12 a.m., Adeyemi Holdings received notice of a formal investigation into procurement irregularities. At 9:27 a.m., the Environmental Agency issued a site audit for 3 construction projects. At 10:03 a.m., the journalist published an article titled, "Questions Surround Rapid Growth of Major Construction Firm." By noon, their stock began to tremble. By evening, investors began to call. Mr. Adeyemi called Samuel first. "This is sabotage," he said. Samuel listened. Then he asked one question. "Did you do what they're accusing you of?" There was silence. That silence was longer than any answer. That evening, Mr. Adeyemi called me. For the first time, his voice did not carry superiority. "Daniel," he said carefully, "we need to talk." I looked at the rain outside my window. "Yes," I replied, "we do." But I did not go to him. I told him to come to me. And when he arrived, he would learn something about the man he had tried to rename. He came at night. No security escort, no assistant, just him. The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled of wet earth. He stood at my gate longer than necessary before ringing the bell. Pride does not leave quickly. When I opened the door, he did not greet me with a smile. He looked older than he had the week before. "Daniel," he said quietly. "Mr. Adeyemi," I replied. He stepped inside my modest living room, the same room where Samuel had done homework on a wooden table, the same walls that had heard grief and laughter in equal measure. He looked around, perhaps noticing for the first time that the shelves were filled with books, not decorative books, marked used, underlined, economics, regulatory law, corporate ethics. He understood something then. "You," he said slowly. "Yes," I answered. He did not ask how. He did not need to. "You have destroyed years of work." I shook my head. "No, I revealed it." His jaw tightened. "Do you think this makes you powerful?" "No," I said calmly. "It makes things balanced." He began pacing. The polished businessman now walking like a man in a cage. "You embarrassed us," he said. I almost smiled. "You labeled me fake," I replied, "in front of hundreds." "That was a joke." "No," I said. "It was a test, to see if I would accept it." He stopped moving. "You could have spoken to me privately." "I did," I said, "many times, indirectly. When I advised caution. When I asked questions at dinners you ignored." His silence admitted more than words. What he did not know was this. I had once been part of a firm that helped corporations avoid scrutiny. I knew exactly how Adeyemi Holdings was structured. I knew the weaknesses, the overlooked filings, the signatures that did not match authority. When my wife fell ill, I left that world because I had grown tired of helping powerful men remain untouchable. Years later, I recognized the pattern again. In him. "I did not move against you when I first noticed," I said. "I waited. I hoped you would correct yourself." "And if I had," he asked, "then nothing would have happened. The investigations were real. The violations were real. Environmental shortcuts, inflated invoices, kickbacks masked as consultancy fees, not monstrous crimes, but enough. enough to unravel reputation. "What do you want?" he asked finally. There it was. Not apology. Negotiation. "I want my son free from your shadow," I said. "I want him unconnected to whatever collapses next." He stared at me, calculating. "You're asking me to sacrifice my own name. I'm asking you to face what you built." He lowered himself into a chair. For the first time, he looked tired. "You think this will not affect your son?" he asked. "It already has." The wedding cancellation had spread across social circles, whispers, speculation. But something else had happened too. Samuel had resigned from Adeyemi Holdings that morning. Without my instruction, without drama. He sent a simple email. "I cannot remain where transparency is optional." Mr. Adeyemi closed his eyes briefly. "You've ruined the merger," he said. "Investors are withdrawing." "Yes," I replied softly. He looked at me differently now, not as a mechanic, not as background, as a threat he should have studied sooner. "I underestimated you," he admitted. "Yes." Outside, a car passed slowly. Headlights brushed across the walls like searching hands. "What happens next?" he asked. "You cooperate," I said. "You disclose everything. You protect your employees from legal fallout. You accept fines. You step down. And if I don't?" I met his gaze. "You will lose more." Not louder, not angrier, just certain. He understood that certainty. The next weeks dug deeper. Investors distanced themselves. Mr. Adeyemi held a press conference. He admitted to oversight failures. He announced he would temporarily step down. Temporary became permanent. Amara called Samuel once. "I didn't know about the card," she said. "I know," he replied. "But you didn't stop it." Silence again. They ended things without shouting, without blame, just distance. One evening, Samuel came to my workshop. He sat on an overturned crate while I tightened bolts on an engine. "Dad," he said, "who are you really?" I wiped my hands and told him everything, about my degree, about the consulting firm, about leaving that life, about watching quietly. He did not look betrayed. He looked proud. "You waited," he said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because revenge taken in anger is noise. Correction taken in time is law." He nodded slowly. Months later, Adeyemi Holdings was restructured under external management. Assets sold, fines paid, reputation reduced but not erased. Mr. Adeyemi sent me one final message. "You were right." 3 words, no apology, but enough. And yet justice has weight. Samuel's wedding never resumed. Some friendships cooled. Invitations stopped coming. We were not celebrated. We were not vindicated publicly. Balance rarely looks glorious. One night, long after headlines faded, Samuel asked me something that lingered in the dark. "Did you ever enjoy it?" he asked. "Watching it fall?" I thought carefully before answering. "No," I said, "but I would have regretted doing nothing." He accepted that. Still, there was one thing left unfinished. One truth I had not yet told him. The investigation had uncovered more than procurement issues. It had revealed a forgotten incident from 10 years ago, a collapsed construction site quietly settled out of court, a death, and a signature approving reduced safety measures. That signature belonged to Mr. Adeyemi, and I had known about it long before the wedding. The card had not started this. It had only decided the timing. I told Samuel about the construction site on a quiet Sunday evening. We sat outside the workshop. The air was still. Distant traffic hummed like a memory. 10 years ago, I began, one of Adeyemi's early projects collapsed, a scaffold failure. One worker died. Samuel's expression tightened. It was settled privately, I continued. Compensation paid, no criminal charges. The safety report had been altered. And you knew? He asked. Yes. Before the wedding? Yes. He absorbed that slowly. I was consulting for a regulatory review board at the time, I explained. I saw internal drafts. I saw the pressure applied to inspectors. I saw how responsibility dissolved upward. Why didn't you act then? Because I had no proof strong enough to survive their legal team. Only suspicion, and a family to protect. He looked toward the road. Oh, quiet. The wedding card didn't create my response, I said. It revealed his character. It told me he had not changed. During the formal investigation months earlier, auditors reopened archived safety records. Digital trails are stubborn. An email surfaced. A directive to reduce material costs by using lighter-grade scaffolding components. Signed. Not criminal by itself, but paired with altered inspection reports, it was enough to reopen inquiry. This time I did not submit anonymously. I attached my name, not Daniel the mechanic. Daniel Okoye, former compliance consultant. Mr. Adiemi was questioned again. Not publicly dramatic, no handcuffs, no spectacle, but heavy. Civil liability expanded. Insurance refused coverage due to misrepresentation. Financial consequences deepened. He was not imprisoned, but he lost control of everything he built. One afternoon, months after all of it settled, he requested to see me again. We met at a small cafe near the courthouse. No photographers, no tension in the air. Just two men who had crossed a line neither could uncross. He looked thinner. I read your statement, he said. I meant every word. I know. He stirred his tea without drinking it. I convinced myself it was necessary, he admitted. Margins were tight, deadlines unforgiving. One compromise becomes another. Yes, I said, and then it becomes character. He nodded once. I did not expect you to be patient, he said. That was your mistake. We sat in silence for a while. Do you hate me? He asked. I considered the question carefully. No, I said, but I could not allow you to continue untouched. He accepted that. Before leaving, he said something unexpected. You raised your son well. Yes, I replied quietly. I did. Time moved forward. Samuel started his own engineering firm 2 years later. Smaller, transparent, careful with contracts, relentless about safety compliance. He hung his degree on the wall. Beside it, he framed something else. That small white card. A fake, uneducated dad. Visitors sometimes asked about it. Samuel would say, "That is the day I learned who my father truly was." I did not ask him to display it. He chose to. Justice did not restore everything. Some relationships remained broken. Some invitations never returned. Whispers sometimes followed us in formal rooms. But something invisible had shifted. Balance. One evening, as I closed the workshop for the night, Samuel stood beside me. "Do you regret any of it?" he asked. "Yes," I said honestly. "What?" "That it required humiliation to begin." He nodded. We locked the door together. The world had not ended. The city lights still flickered. Cars still passed. Businesses opened and closed. But somewhere within that quiet movement, a correction had been made. Not loud, not celebrated, just final. I was never fake. I was never uneducated. I was patient. And in patience, I found something stronger than revenge. I found inevitability. Justice did not cheer. It simply arrived. And when it did, it left no need for applause, only understanding. The rain began again, soft against the pavement. We walked home without speaking. Behind us, the workshop sign swung slightly in the wind. Ahead of us, the streetlights glowed steady. The world continued, slightly corrected. So please like and subscribe to Justice Tales Unveiled for unforgettable stories where silence speaks, truth emerges, and justice always finds its way.